Welcome to this blending mode section. Blending modes are very useful and important. If you are working as a video editor, videographer, or graphic designer, you need to understand and use blending modes. After Effects has the same blending modes as Photoshop, provided you know Photoshop very well. But of course, in After Effects, you can apply the blending modes to videos and to images. That means you can blend videos to images and of course vice versa. Blending modes control how a layer blends or interact with the layers beneath it. Also, blending modes will only modify the source layer, that is the layer to which you are applying the blend mode. We will see that in detail. In this section now, you will go through the different blending mode categories and the major blending modes in each category. Each category has a purpose and offers several blending modes. You will learn what each category is meant for and when and how to use it. My aim here is to teach you the concept behind each category and give you practical and useful examples about the modes in each category. This will allow you to better understand how to blend layers and to find the best blend mode to achieve the results you want faster and easier. So let's dive into blending modes and have a good understanding how to blend videos into images and images into videos and all these blending stories that you see around, and they are extremely useful, please believe me. So I have here two videos. I have my first video that is the cloud, and I have another video down there that is the sea. You notice we have a sea, a boat in the sea. What I want to do is to blend the top layer into the layer beneath it. So blending works from top to bottom, meaning I will take this layer, I will change its blending mode here, and then it will merge with the layer beneath it or the other layers that are beneath it. Now, first of all, to get this mode and transparency and track matte, it is this button here is expand or collapse the transfer control panel. If you click it, you will remove it in this case. If you click it again, it will appear. Now notice the transfer control here. If you notice expand or collapse the transfer controls, these are the three of them: the mode, the transparency, and the track matte. So don't call the mode or the blending mode the transfer modes. It is not correct for now. Okay, this was very old time when we used to call them transfer modes. It was in Photoshop, in fact. So now I want to blend the top layer into the bottom layer. I can come and change the mode. I change it from normal, for example, to multiply. I'm gonna just take, random ones just to show you. Click on multiply. Now notice what happened here. The top video has been blended into the bottom video, and there were more, it will also have been blended. All the layers above will not be blended. For example, if I take a rectangle here and just click and draw a rectangle, just a very simple rectangle with certain colors, you notice that the rectangle has not been blended at all. But if I take the rectangle and put it under the layer that has a blend mode, that is clouds, now you notice it has been blended. So this is what happens. You blend the top layer or the layer above to everything that is beneath it, and that is very powerful. Just think about it and the things you can do. Other example, let me show you things that we will do together. Here we have another layer. If I remove the blending, normally you notice it has a white background. If I put back the blending here, I don't know what it was. This one, the white background has disappeared. Now the top layer, the one that has the ghost, notice it's a layer that is a motion graphic layer, not a video layer. Okay, it's not shot by a camera, it's a motion graphic, which is very nice also. So I'll put it back, normal, or it was multiply, I think. Also, another example here I can show you. Let's create a new composition just to show you some examples. I'm gonna take the ghost here. I have a ghost, okay, and I have a rain. Okay, I want to blend the ghost into the rain, so I'll choose ghost here, come to the blending modes and try multiply. It didn't work. Let me try screen. Now it works. Of course I knew it, but now it works. The black has disappeared. That's pretty nice. These are two still images. I can take the sea, put it under, let's remove the rain, and here you are, you have a ghost in the sea. So it's pretty easy. Actually, you can create a whole animation just using, or a whole video mix if you want, just using the blending modes. You can get two artists, one singing here, one singing here, and blend them when you have shot, you know, completely different on a green screen. Things like this will work very nicely with you. The next lecture, we will go through the categories and see the best we can do. In this lecture, I want to explain to you about the concept of blending modes and how they work. We just want to see the concept now. We want to understand the algorithm, how they work a bit, and then we'll move on to categories in the next lecture. First of all, we have a source layer. That is the layer where we will apply the mode. And then you have the underlying layers, or most of the time you have one or two layers. These are the layers beneath the source layer. We call them the underlying layers. So now when you apply a mode to a layer, it uses the pixels or the colors of this layer where you applied the mode and all the pixels or the colors of the layers beneath it. I will interchange pixel and color is the same thing. You have a dot, that's a pixel, that has a color. Let's take an example. If I change the mode to something extreme, let's say subtract, you notice how the colors have changed. The colors of the source layer have changed, but the colors of the underlying layers do not change, and nothing happens to the underlying layers. And in fact, this is just a mode, so you did not do anything to your video within your filing system. So subtract here is a mode that will subtract the colors of the source layer from the underlying layers. When you apply a mode, it will apply an algorithm to the layer, the source layer where you applied the mode, using all the layers beneath it. And that's it, as simple as this. So depending on what you have beneath the source layer, it means whatever is the underlying layers, the colors of the source layer will change. If I take a different layer underneath, for example, I'll take the clouds, that's a picture, and I put it here and remove this one, you notice now everything has changed completely because the underlying layers have changed. So we take the pixels or the colors of the layer where you put the mode and change them according to the layers beneath the source layer. For each mode, you have a certain algorithm. So that's the concept, and that is important that you understand. So subtract does not work on this layer only. It needs all the underlying layers to give you the new colors. Let's go back to normal and let's look at the categories. The first category you have here is darken, multiply, and so on. These are the subtractive category. It means it will subtract the colors, it will darken your pixels, or it will remove the light colors or the bright colors. So, like the name says in the beginning, it will darken using whatever is beneath, and it will create new colors. This is very important group or category of modes, because this is the one that you will use to remove white backgrounds. You darken and then the white backgrounds can be removed. If I use multiply here, you notice how the colors have changed here. They became much darker. Fine, let's go to the next category. And the next category is about lightening or making it brighter. You have to add the lighten the screen. All of them will give you a certain intensity or more intensity in the colors, and it will lighten the colors of the source layer using, of course, the layer underneath. Now this is what we call the additive category, and it'll give you very bright colors, and this is used to remove black background. It's very useful to remove black background or the black spots within your image or your movie. The next category is the overlay category. I like to call it like this, but actually it's called the complex category. The complex category mainly works on the gray less than 50%. So if your underlying layers do not have any gray less than 50%, the effect here might be completely nil. But overlay, and in most images and videos, we have always less than 50% gray in certain areas at least. If I apply overlay here, you notice that the whatever is less than 50% gray has been removed. It has been lightened. This is the job of the complex category. So this category is extremely useful, and the overlay itself is a very nice one that we almost always use. You can take each one of them, and we'll try them in the next lecture, but just to show you, the hard mixed is trying to, brighten all the gray areas and also brighten the less grayish area. As soon as there is less than 50% gray, it will work very fine. Cool. We go to the difference category. Actually, this is called the difference category. The difference category will make the difference. It's an algorithm where the result is the difference in colors between the source layer and the underlying layer. It is very nice, and the options that you have here will differ very much. Difference, for example, is different from divide. Notice here each one of them. So there is an algorithm here that will work, and we change completely the colors of the source layer. I will cover the stencil, and this is the category that we call the matte category. It will create a matte, like track matte, something like this, for all the layer or the layer underneath. If you use Stencil Luma, you notice here it has created some kind of a matte. We will see that in details and how to use it. So in summary, you have the subtractive category where you will subtract the colors and make them darker. Very useful to remove white backgrounds. Additive category is when you lighten the colors, and it's very useful to remove the black background. Complex category will work on the 50% or less gray and makes a lot of changes there. Difference category will give you a result where the colors that will appear on the source are the difference of the original colors of the source and the underlying one. And then we have the matte category that will act like a matte or a track matte. This one we have seen for the layers, and we will see them in details starting next lecture. In this lecture, we are going to look at the subtractive category, which is very important. Let's open the composition subtractive, and here I have a video, and you notice we have two videos, one behind for the clouds and one in front that is the ghost. But the ghost video, first of all, is a motion graphic video. Now the modes will work for you for any video, if it's motion graphic or if it is a normal video shot using a camera. Cool. So I want to eliminate the whites here, or I want to eliminate the white colors. It just makes sense that I darken the video until the white disappear. For that, of course, we are going to use the subtractive category. Let's try darken. Now darken has worked very nicely. Let's put it off and look at it again. We notice here the colors, it's a bit dark here. If I do darken, now this is a bit somehow the same color, but it changed a bit. But the whole white area has disappeared. This is the major role of this category, and it's important that you learn that, because sometimes you will bring PNG or JPEG images and you want to remove that white that is behind them, so you don't have to mask all the way. You can just use this blending mode. Let's try multiply. Now you notice with multiply, the colors here are becoming darker. They are getting nearer to the original, and I like that. That's better. But I have a line here that is appearing. I could fix that line by putting a big mask, just a square mask around the video, and then this line will disappear. That's one way to do it. Let's try color burn. Now the same, but you notice now the colors here have really been darkened and a blue is appearing. So mixing the grayish colors that we have in the ghost movie with the clouds here, and due to the gray, we have something like is blue. There is nothing you can do about this one. We can change here to go to classic color burn, which is the same almost, and you can change to linear burn. Now we have here a better image somehow. The gray are appearing even more and is mixing better with the cloud. The nicest here will be darker color. Notice that the video here of the ghost is becoming lighter, and it's mixing more. Look at the bluishes here. Let's go back to the best one, which is multiply here, because I can see the gray everywhere. So this is the job, or the first job, of the subtractive category. Let's try another example. I'll put these two off. I'll open the shy, and we put this image on. Now this is a very beautiful image. Let's note what's happening in this image. First of all, we have some dark colors all over. That's very beautiful. And we have some bright colors here, or light colors, that we want to change, for example, and give it another ambiance for the picture, change it all together. We can come to the background here. We have a background. I put a bluish background. What happens if we add here multiply? And you notice what's happening. All the white colors, all the bright colors have disappeared, and the picture has been darkened using the background colors, which is the blue. If I put another kind of background color, other things would have happened. For example, I don't know if we can get this one. Let's try this. Okay, but this one will crack the whole picture altogether, and it's quite something that you want to use. Then maybe you can open the opacity, reduce the opacity for this picture, the background picture, and here you are playing with it, and it's giving you this marvelous effects that you can really not get anywhere else, except of course in Photoshop. Fine, let's delete this one, and here we turned it into a blue. Let's try, and for the guitarist, let's try the darker colors. And look what's happening here. In the darker colors, we went extreme, and some colors really disappeared, and the sky now is blue. What disappeared is all the light colors. Notice how his hand was white. Let me remove this one. Cool. You notice the white here, the brightness on the hand. Notice the brightness here. And when you put it back, you have seen they have all disappeared. So this is very interesting. So the way to work is to come to your image and decide exactly what you want to remove. Do I really want to remove the whiter area and darken the picture, or I want to do the other way around? We'll see that in the next lecture. So here you are, you have changed them. Let's try something else. For example, the color burn. Nice effect, beautiful effect. In fact, you have changed everything in the image. Of course, this has its own use. Notice you cannot keyframe the modes, of course. Now, let's go and try another example I want to show you here. I have a very beautiful photo. This is the lady looking up, and it's all bright colors. So you might think that, okay, if I darken this, I will get rid of this white. Actually, not really. If you look at her face and you look what she's wearing, it's all white. So if you try to darken it, what will happen is all the whites everywhere, or the light colors, will disappear. Let's try with the clouds. We take clouds, put it at the bottom, under it, and we have here darken or multiply. And notice what's happening here. Really not exactly what we want. Okay, unless this is what you want, but this is not good, because look at the face, what's happening here, the gray and so on is not good. Let's try to darken it. Well, that's much better, but now we have some areas that are very funny. So it's not like because you have white, you can play with the multiply. You must study your video and your images to really guess what kind of blending will work, and if blending works for you and for the two videos that you have. Welcome to this new lecture about the additive category in blending modes. Now this category here, add, lighten, screen, and the others, will add colors and will brighten your colors using, of course, the other layers, the underlying layers. One of its most important use is to remove black backgrounds, and it is quite important that you learn that, because it's very helpful. And also I will show you certain effects here of fire that you will really love. Okay, let's go to ghost. So we have here our ghost. Notice we have a black background and we have a living room behind it. Cool. So I want this ghost to be in the living room. I can later on animate this ghost, move it around or use certain effects to make it move itself. So I need to remove this black background. The first thing that comes to mind is to lighten the picture. Of course, lighten is the additive category, and I'm gonna use add just to show you. I will put add, and really it did the job. The colors, the black colors has been removed, but I don't know if you can see it. I can see something on the background. It hasn't been removed 100%. but also it has burned the white here. I still have some details, but this is too much. It doesn't work. But remember, we added the colors and we lightened the colors. I will go choose another one, the lighten. Lighten, okay, it's just the opposite of add. It has removed certain details, and also it didn't do a good job here where I can see. But my ghost is really transparent now. Let's go and try screen. And here you are. Screen is the best choice in this case. Be careful. Where I still have all the details, no color is over whitened or over lightened, and the borders here are not really markable. But if you're doing professional work, it's a big deal. Maybe I can mask this one, feather a bit around it, and it will work still using the screen. Let's do some color dodging here. You notice it's not exactly what you want. Fine, let's move on to another example. We take here the sky. I'll show you the sky here. Remember, we are lightening the colors here. Now, this sky is orange, and an orange has quite some black, if you notice. Fine, and then there is the one underneath it. There is our famous ghost, and this time the ghost is on a black background. So I will put on the sky and put it to, for example, screen. Let's go easy. Now, if I put on screen, you notice the black has disappeared. The colors have been lightened. It's a bit lighter than the original one. If you remove it, you can see it's a bit lighter. So it did the job. We are happy from it, but we can do better. Let's go to lighten. And here there is the mixture of the colors. You have the orange and the black colors and the grays, which give you a different color. My ghost is still moving. Now, let's go and put add. And here you are, you have the fire effect, and it's pretty powerful. The colors have been brightened to a certain level and mixed with the orange color underneath or above. Is all the same. Now let's go and change to color dodge. Okay, now in color dodge, it has dodged certain colors, so it has removed a lot of bright colors, and we have a different effect. But notice this is already very beautiful. This guy has become all reddish with the fire here. I mean, this is really amazing with just single click. Let's go from color dodge to linear dodge, and you have a totally different effect. Give it some time. Here you are. Now it will be very interesting also to duplicate these and to add another add. I won't do it now, but you can play with it. Let's go and try the last one, which is a lighter color. Now it will light things and things don't appear at all. It is not feasible for this example, but yet you can see you can use it very many times. Cool. Now here you are. Let's take the third example that we have. We have the sky again, and I put it back to normal, and we have another video here of our ghost, but this time our ghost has a white background. Here you are. Before, the other one was black background. Now what happens if I use the screen here and the add? It will brighten the colors. We have white, so obviously it's gonna brighten the sky colors, and it's gonna brighten also the dark colors here. But let's see. We go back and put it to, for example, screen to start with. Now notice all the black has disappeared. It has been screened to the maximum where it became white. But what is interesting is our ghost became orange, and that's pretty cool. If you go to add, and here you are, you have the fiery effects, but still the background has been removed. If we go now to lighten, we have more of the red color or more of the sky color, the red sky color. And you can play now with the linear dodge and so on to give all the effects that you want to give. So this is the concept of the additive category, where you brighten your colors using the underlying one, and the underlying one is orange, so these colors are becoming, you know, like fire. Let's go and look at the third example that I have for you here. We have the sea. This is the sea here. This is a video, and we have the clouds. Now, you notice here both videos are bright. This is somehow bright, and the clouds is pretty bright. What happens if I use additive on them? Here we are. Let's go to add and notice the disaster that will happen. But actually, it doesn't have to be a disaster. It can be, very useful for you. The white colors have become very white. All the gray has disappeared. This is the additive. It has added all the colors in between. Now we can use also screen, which will give you a nice, cool effect. But for these videos, I think it's like, fading away is not so nice. But still, the clouds are in the sea. Now, if you go to lighter colors, and that's what I want to show you, now you have the clouds pretty well defined. The in-between colors of the gray and the white has disappeared, but we still have the gray, and here you are, you have a very nice effect. This is about additive category, where you remove the dark colors or the blacks if you want. I like to call it like this, and you add whatever you want as colors. And here's a very nice example using certain effects. Here you can animate the ghost and it will be on the foreground of the videos. In modes, you have one important mode, that is the complex mode. It contains overlay, soft light, highlight, and the others. In this lecture, we are going to focus on this complex category. How does it work? The complex category will work on the gray levels of the underlying layer for less than 50%. So if your underlying layer does not have any gray, it will not do anything. And actually, it will work on the midtones. Let's see what midtones are. If you come to 3-tone here, this is an effect. It can demonstrate to you, and I'll put it on the image itself. Image or video, it will work the same. You notice how the color has changed. Now, what color has changed? It's only the midtones here that have changed. If you click and try to change the midtones, for example, we go back to black here, we go high and low, you notice these are the midtones that are changing. You notice which one they are. Notice that the shadows or the very dark black here are not changing at all. And you notice that the highlights, if you have any, are not also changing at all. Fine. Now, what is midtone? If I stay in the middle here, then I am in the midtones, and it doesn't matter what color I'm using. This is a very simplistic, explanation, because this is not a graphic design course. So if I come over here, you notice nothing is happening. They are still the same. I'll go down a bit and try to match the original. I click OK. And let's see if we match the original. Not bad. We are at like 95%. So if I use overlay, overlay is going to work on these midtones. If there are no midtones in your underlying image or video or underlying layer, in fact, then overlay will not work or will give you funny results, not what you expect. Fine. Let's delete this effect. We don't need it. And let's put on the 2 shape layers that I put here. So we have 2 shape layers. One of them is orange, one of them is green, as you can see. I will apply to shape layer 1 the overlay. Here you are. And notice what's happening. The color of the source layer has replaced the midtone of the underlying layers, or the midtones of the underlying layer have been replaced with the color of the top layer. If I take the top layer and make it the underlying layer, and I put overlay now on the source layer, as you want to see it now, it's a top layer, is a source layer, you notice that it has changed. So it actually uses the midtones of the shape layer 1 now, not the midtones of the image that we have put here. And it seems in this shape layer, the midtones levels are higher than our image. I'll put them back and put back this one to normal. Stick it up. Yeah. Cool. I will do the same for the green, and I will take it and make it, overlay. Now we have changed the color. You notice this is extremely useful. Let's rotate them just for curiosity, and let's put the other layer to midtone, and here you are, the same effect is happening here. Let's get it back. We put this one to normal, and we have our midtone. Now this is very interesting, because if you take any picture, for example, let's take this background. Just let's create a new comp with this background, and if you want, we can now add a solid layer, new solid, and we make it blue, for example, and here I come, I say overlay, and then I have changed it. Now blue and overlay, it doesn't work. Let's change this one, solid setter. Let's go to red. Okay, So actually I changed the picture tones using the midtones and using overlay. So this is quite nice and quite practical to change the tones of the picture. Let's take this example now. This is 3 complex 2. Please open it. Now we have here the C, that's the video, and under it we have a layer that has a certain color. This is of course a solid layer. If for the video layer, the top layer, I change the mode to overlay, it has taken all the midtones of the underlying layer and applied them to the source layer. Of course, if you come to this layer, say layer, solid setting, and change the colors here. Let's take them to yellow. You notice what's happening. So I need midtones. Let's go back here. And you see what's happening here. You notice I want to show you here. If I go down, I am, darkening the midtones. And here I am highlighting too much. There is no more gray here. So I'll take it to the middle, come here, and this is the appearance that you want to have. Of course, you're going and using other colors will be also quite nice. Here you are. This, for example, is not coming up nice with me, but for the course, you understand what I mean. Now, if I take this layer and put it above, the whole thing is going to change. And this one, let's put it to normal. Nothing is happening. Only few things have changed because the underlying layer, which is the video, does not have any gray less than 50% or any midtones. So it's really not working very well. Let me give you another example now. Let's put this off and put this one on. We play it. This is an escalator, but the camera has been put on the floor. It's very interesting. It's very nice, in fact. Now, what I want to do is to create a shape. I will take the pen tool and come over here. I'm going to take the floor under, just like this. Simple. So I'm creating a shape, and that shape is just under here. Let's adjust it a bit. Take the selection tool, take this one down. Let's just it. Now, I'm gonna put the shape above the escalator, and these two, let's shy them off. Okay, now we can see. Now we put the overlay, and notice the whole color has changed. Let's change the color of the fill here to something pretty interesting, something dangerous. Let's make it dangerous. Okay, more. Yep, it's not working very fine, but that will do. Cool. So now I have the portion of the escalator overlaid with the shape layer. Of course, if it was moving, I would have done camera tracking or something like this. Fine. Now let's do it above. We take the pen tool again and we do another shape. For example, like this. Okay, not to be very precise, boring. And we take it here and here. Cool. Now I change the color. Let's take it to blue. Let's make a contrast. Put some gray inside and say overlay. And here you are. Now you have created a whole illusion. You changed the whole movie. You changed the whole video to have something, really amazing. And notice we didn't do much work. Okay, just changing to overlay. Of course, let's start to change to soft light. Soft light has a different algorithm that will soften the colors a bit. It will not use 100% of the one that is less gray. If you go to hard light now, things will change differently. But the concept is still the same. We're still using the midtones. We're still using the grays less than 50% to do our work. If you go to linear light, also the same. Now, if you go to vivid lights, notice what's happening here. The mixing is quite different. You want to try each one of them. But what I want to explain to you is the concept of the complex category and how it works and how the grays affect this category. And welcome to this new lecture where we are going to tackle here the difference category. The difference category have some special effects that I like very much. It's hard to predict what the difference will do, not because After Effects goes randomly, but because the calculations are pretty hard. But there are two exceptions about the black and the white color that are very useful. The best way to demonstrate to you is using these two shapes with different colors for their borders and their feel. Videos, it will become quite hard to show you the difference and show you how it works. Let's take the source layer, that's the top layer, and change it to difference. What After Effects did here is to subtract the darker color, the stronger colors, from the lighter ones, and then you have the result. the white has been subtracted from the red and you have the result. Same for this pink area here. The white has been removed from the green and you have the result here. So that is a difference, and it's quite complicated to predict the results, but it's quite easy to look at the results. One major difference about difference is that if one of the background is black, for example, then the underlying colors are not changed at all. So you see here, because I put black in the fill, then the green and the red did not change at all. If it is white, then there is quite some change. Let's leave it to white. Now this is about difference. If you go to classic difference, is useless because it's just for compatibility. If you go to exclusion, now also it does the same calculation, but it is with less intensity. And that's it about exclusion. If you go to subtract, now it becomes more interesting. Notice the black area. In subtract, if the source is white, then the result is black. And that is pretty interesting. Just give it a thought. If the source is white, then the result is black. So it is pretty interesting when you have a video or an image that has lots of white, you can turn them into black using subtract. Quite interesting, right? Now the vivid here is a whole subject by itself, but nevertheless in the vivid you notice when the source is white, then there is no change in the underlying colors. Fine. This is pretty good. I have explained to you about the black and white and how it works. Let's get an example running. I will hide these ones and open the shy, and I have two layers here. The escalator that you have already seen and the fire that I want to show you now. Hopefully it will render pretty fast. This is the fire. If you notice also, it's a motion graphic that I use a lot, this file. It comes from Pixabay, but you can take some areas and make it very, very interesting. So this is our fire. Now what are we gonna do? If we put the escalator and we use difference, like it's already there, and we run, you notice that it has some amazing effect. I've just jumped to show you. Now notice how the fire has spread all over the tunnel if you want, but look, it's not effective everywhere. If you use, for example, multiply, you notice it's somehow uniform. If you use the others, even overlay, it's very uniform. But with difference, it is not uniform at all because of the subtraction. So you have the blues here, you have the ultimate red fire here, and if you go in front, you notice that the fire is consistent with the color. So that is what subtract does, or the difference does, and it's very interesting. If you go to subtract now, then the whole thing has changed, and it's pretty interesting. Now you have a dark scene where the fire just spreads. Cool. Let's do a simple animation here. I would like to show you how to use this one. So if I come at the beginning, I take the fire here and just come and draw a simple mask. That is a circle. I will press Ctrl and Shift. Fine. I will come to mask here and keyframe at the beginning. Go after a few seconds, just stay here and double click on the mask. Hopefully I put it in the center, and then just make it as big as possible. Well, it's not very much in the center, but it will work for us here. Cool. Something like this will do, no problem. Let's go back to fit, and we come back in the beginning and we make it completely nil, absent. Okay, cool. Let's run our animation and see what happens. Now we will let it render, then I'll get back to you. So now it has fully rendered. If I play it, you notice it's pretty beautiful. But the delimiters here, you know, it's very strong. So what I want to do is just take the feather up. Okay, you know, as much as you want, it can play. Here you are. And now you have a totally, you know, amazing animation where the whole thing is exploding and fire is coming up. The nice thing about it that this fire has blue because of the background. Of course, you can use more modes here to put other layers to remove this bluish and make it maybe reddish or orange or whatever you want. Fine. So this is the beautiful animation we can do. And it's quite interesting. Of course, you might want to adjust your mask a bit because this is spreading too much uniform. You want to change it and make it a bit not so uniform. That's it. Okay, and we come back here, for example. Yeah, it will work like this. Let's do it. Here you are, the fire is spreading and it's exploding, and you have a new explosion movie. So that's about the difference and the extrude. Let me show you another example. In this example, we have our ghost that is on a black background. And of course, we have our clouds here. Okay, these are simple examples, but they are very useful. Now, notice the whites in the clouds here and notice the black in our ghost here. So what happens if I use difference? Here you are. And then the difference is quite amazing here. If we play the video, the guy appears and you know there is some burning of colors and it's appearing pretty cool. Now it's a bit unpredictable what's gonna happen. I cannot calculate it and know exactly, but all I know is about the white and the black. The black has totally disappeared if you notice. Fine. Now if I use the other way around, let's use the subtract and look at our video. Now the subtract here is working a bit less than the difference. You notice there is no burning in any area. That's pretty cool. Cool, fine. Now let's take the other one, that is the ghost, which is on the white background. Cool. And I leave the clouds on top, for example. I will take here and make it, let's say, difference, and you notice what's happening. Because difference react on the white backgrounds, the whole image has changed to lots of black because the black was burned using the white. And now you have a totally different animation. And you have certain blue that is coming up, and look at the burning of the colors in the reddish area. Pretty interesting and pretty beautiful. Fine. If I change the order, I take the cloud behind under and I put this one to normal, and I will use here the difference again. I will have the same result. Well, what happens if I use a subtract? And now subtract really has killed the background because we have white here. And these are the simple things that you can do with subtract and the difference. Divide is a whole subject by itself, by the way, and will give you some very interesting, animations here and some interesting change. Now, the concept is the most important about subtract and difference category. It is very important that you learn how it's subtracting and the concept of white and the black used with difference and subtract. So I hope you learned a lot. I'm trying to communicate to you here that it is hard to predict the results, but you got to train. You got to come and see what happens. So don't be scared from divide and subtract and difference. Just come and try to use it, and don't be scared also from the intensity of the colors. Sometimes it can give you, like you've seen in the movie here, it can give you something really exotic that you can be proud of. Welcome to this new lecture about Stencil Alpha. Stencil Alpha is really special. In fact, all this category is quite special, and its use will need some training from you so you can get to see the effect really and to understand the manipulation. Stencil Alpha and all this category, you can play a lot of tricks with them and a lot of useful tricks. Let's see what we have here. I have my text layer, Stencil Alpha, that's one. I have my clouds layer, fine, and I have the fire. What I would like to do is to apply multiply and blend the clouds with fire. Let's do that. And I'm very happy with the multiply. You can use something else. And I want to do a matte to these two layers inside the Stencil Alpha. Okay, now if I use track matte, notice what's going to happen. It's very beautiful. It has track matted the clouds to Stencil Alpha. That's very fine. But it kept all the fire outside, and this is not exactly what I wanted. I wanted everything inside the characters. So I will keep the multiply here, but I will remove the alpha. I'll put no track matte. Now, to do that, I will go and use Stencil Alpha. That's exactly what I want. I have nothing outside, and only the blending is showing within the text layer, and I can play the videos, and it's very beautiful. Now, notice what's happened. The Stencil Alpha will cut through all the layers below or the underneath. So it's very important you notice that. Let's show you an example. Let's take the stone background and drop it. Now you notice nothing happened here. Even if I do screen, for example, I can see the stones now also. But the stencil mode also cut through the stone. That's not really what I wanted. What I wanted is the stone to be a background for the Stencil Alpha, a big background to this. How do I do that? It's very easy. All you have to do is to pre-compose. And you say pre-compose and you move everything. Now if I go back to my layer, it is working very fine. This one we have to show. Here you are. So you have the pre-composition that contains the stencil alpha, the clouds, the fire, and it's not cutting through anymore. So the stencil has no effect except within the pre-composition. So that's one way to use stencil alpha. And I will show you another way in a second. Now you can also use the stencil alpha on shape layers. And let's try to do another example. If I come and have a shape here, just a circle, and take it down, and I want just the candle to appear within the circle, right? Just the candle. You see the candle where it is. Fine. Now what will I do? I'll apply stencil alpha. First of all, let's look at our alpha channel and see exactly what we're doing. Of course, we don't want to see this, and the other two videos, we don't want to see them because their alpha channel obviously is as big as the comp. But that's the alpha channel of the circle, and I can use this one. Okay, fine. Let's go back to RGB and put on the two layers. Now what I can do is to come to the modes here and say stencil alpha. Now that is great. It's very sharp here, of course. What you can do is to use the radial blur. Let me show you here how to use it. Radial, and I want blur, of course. Cool. I can use CC radial blur is okay, or radial blur. Let's take CC here and drop it in. Now in CC you have the centered, and you notice if you make this one bigger, it's gonna be even nicer. And the amount, I can blur it. Here you are. Of course it's going this way because the center is not set to the center of the circle here. I will set it just to show you here, just in the middle. Here you are. You created the effect of the feathering without even touching the inside, but you have a difference of color here. So this is one way to do it. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you in the next lecture.